Welcome back, my lovely audience. I'm Naomi Kyle, and this is IGN Live at E3, streaming to you live at e3.ign.com, youtube.com/E3, and IGN's Xbox Live app. Right now, we have a very exciting game for longtime SimCity fans. Just how exciting is it for SimCity fans? Well, it's a new game called SimCity. Say hello to the new SimCity.
What's up, everyone? Anthony here from IGN, along with Jason Haber, producer at Maxis, here to talk about the new SimCity with you guys. And this is pretty exciting. I mean, this is the first time that Maxis is returning to the franchise. Really, it's the first new SimCity in over a decade, right?
Yeah, it's been just about 10 years since SimCity 4 came out, and we've brought back the original city building simulation.
So, I mean, I guess, obviously, this isn't just a rehash of old SimCity mechanics. You guys are doing something totally different, and that comes down to the engine that you guys are using, right?
Exactly, yeah. We're using an all-new engine called the Glassbox Simulation Engine. And it's a simulation engine with integrity, where what you see is what we're actually simulating.
Yeah, I mean, previously, I think when I talked to you guys, you talked about how a lot of the underlying mechanics, it was sprites sort of in old SimCities representing a lot of the underlying like math and all those equations that were going on. But now what we're seeing is actually what's really going on. So if you have traffic problems in your city, it's not actually just, oh, you have traffic, the text displays you have traffic problems. You can actually scroll over your city and see the traffic that's going on, right?
Exactly, and not just that, but every sim in the city, every car in the city is actually going somewhere and doing something. So you can follow those sims as they go to work or they go home. And that's the true representation of what's happening in the engine.
But on top of doing what you guys are doing with SimCity, single player, but really, I guess it's actually, I guess, not even worth necessarily saying single player, because one of the whole tenets of what you guys are doing with SimCity is kind of trying to make it a much more connected game.
That's right. I mean, in the real world, cities don't exist in a bubble. The actions they take affect other cities. So we've taken that and brought that into SimCity and into the multiplayer. So the actions that you take as a city will affect other cities. You can help other cities within a region. You guys can work together on great work projects. And it really opens up a whole new possibility of gameplay.
So every player that plays then, are they connected to like a part of a larger world of cities, basically?
So you'll play in a region with other cities in a region. And part of that is we want to make sure you feel connected to all the cities in the region. So if we had gone with like a huge world, you would sort of lose that sense of connection.
Sure. But your Sims in your city, they aren't confined to just your city, are they?
No, not at all. You can they'll leave your city and go to other cities. So for instance, you could have one city that has a lot of commercial where people go to shop and they need to bring in tourists from other city and they'd come and visit and shop and then go back to that city to go and live. And you could do the same thing with jobs. You could have an industrial city with lots of jobs and have another city with lots of housings, and they'd come over to the industrial city to work and then go back to the other city to go to sleep.
So what is, I guess, when Maxis, when you were coming back to this game, it's been a decade, like what were some of the core things that you were like, well, what makes SimCity to you guys? Like what is it that you wanted to make sure you kept?
Well, I think the ability to be a mayor and really create the city of your dreams is a big part of it. Of course, there's zoning, and that we know that's a core tenet to SimCity, is you've got to be able to zone and build up that gardening aspect of the city, and really the open option to have that creative sandbox and do whatever you want to be able to do and express yourself through your job as a mayor.
So besides the multiplayer sort of functionality, what other new features are there that kind of make this SimCity, different from what players have kind of done before?
Great, yeah. So some of the big new features, as you said, is multiplayer is a huge one for us.
Right.
That new Glassbox engine, which you can actually visualize as data layers, so it's really easy to access and understand what's going on. There's a sort of a model-like aesthetic to the game that we get using a tilt shift effect. And not only does it look great, but you can actually go in and build up those buildings by adding additional modules, which will give them new abilities. Yeah, those are the really big new features of it.
But I mean, going back to sort of the information and all that, I think maybe that was kind of obviously the old SimCity games were immensely popular, but
right.
I think there were some things that were kind of hard for people to get a grasp on. So what sort of work have you guys done to make it, I guess, a little bit more approachable?
So we've really been inspired by like infographics and Google Maps style information. And so what we do is you can sort of bring up a data layer, and that shows you a very visual interpretation of the data underneath. So for instance, if you had a power layer, that would show you where you have power in your city and where you don't have power just by drawing a line that's yellow or red. And that's just one example. I mean, there's tons of ways that we show that.
So I guess it's kind of like you're using common imagery, like the idea of green, yellow, red. Everyone seems to understand those.
Exactly.
And so you do that as opposed to making people kind of stare at a graph and kind of parse
right.
out the information that they need to know to be an effective
Exactly. I mean, that's one way that we're visualizing the data. The other thing is the Glassbox simulation engine allows us to sort of make the city tell you the story. And so rather than just saying, hey, a crime occurred here, you actually see a little car drive up and the crime occur. You see a bank get robbed or a house get set on fire. And so not only is that, visualizing it better, but it also makes the game really fun and sort of pulls you into the city.
Cool. Well, SimCity, I mean, it's very impressive, man. It looks really great. Can't wait to see it. When does it come out?
It comes out in February 2013 for
February
PC.
2013. Well, that's when you can build your own cities, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let's give it right back to Naomi.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Anthony. Up next, we have a really crazy Wii U title from Platinum Games, people who pretty much specialize in crazy games. Project P100 is coming up next.